Oh man, this one's going to be a bit of a rant. Hi everyone, and welcome to New Money's third ever video explainer. This week I am interrupting scheduled viewing to talk about a story that has come out this week in the personal finance news, which is that UK banks are hiking overdraft fees to around 40% across the board for all customers. Now, this is in response to a Financial Conduct Authority (FCA) review that found that significant harm was being done to many overdraft customers, particularly those using unarranged overdrafts. So when you go a few pounds into the red, perhaps towards the end of the month, and then you get slapped with fees that are on a par with payday loans. Quite rightly, the FCA has said that that has to stop, and banks have responded by levelling out fees to an incredible 40% for everyone. Many have claimed that that's going to leave quite a few people better off, particularly those people that do run occasionally into the red, as we just described. But the thing is that is not where banks make their money. In fact, in a 2015-2016 review, the FCA found that while only 6.5% of banking customers use arranged overdrafts, 85% find themselves in there all the time, and 50% of all arranged fees come from this 6.5% of people, and 40% of all unarranged fees come from this tiny proportion of banking customers. Drill down even further into that, and around 30%, so a third of UK banking customers, use their overdrafts every month of the year, and 79% of all overdraft borrowing comes from here. So banks are not making their money from those of us that run occasionally into the red. They're making money from those of us that find ourselves trapped inside our overdrafts. And in the same review, the FCA itself found that it was incredibly easy to become one of these people. In fact, the people that do find themselves trapped inside an overdraft have a deteriorating financial position. After 1 month of using an overdraft, 60% of people use it again. After 3 months, 79% of people use it again. And after 6 months, 88% of people use it again. And this is where the bank is making their money. These are the people that are going to be hammered by these changes. In 2018, I wrote an article for the newspaper, which I will put a link to in the description, in which I spoke to two people that were banking with Halifax who had found themselves in serious trouble. One man, Isaac, was in £2,800 of overdraft debt, and he was being asked to repay that very quickly, and the same for the girl I spoke to, Carly. Now, what was really interesting about both of their stories, and something I also have personal experience of, and something that has not been addressed at all this week, or indeed ever perhaps, or certainly not recently, is the questionable lending that goes on in the overdraft industry. When I was a student back in 2008 now, I had a bank account with Lloyds, and it would only need a Friday night where I'd had a few too many drinks and decided I wanted to carry on and maybe go out to a nightclub, and I would just have to hop onto my BlackBerry, because it was that long ago, and increase my overdraft by £100, £200, however much I wanted, and they would just give it to me. This was the same story for Isaac. This was the same story for Carly. Carly, in fact, was a student, and she was allowed to go up to nearly £2,000 in overdraft debt. Isaac showed me the record of every time that he had increased his overdraft, and we're talking 2 a.m. on a Friday, we're talking 10 p.m. on a Saturday, yet this is not being addressed. This is not being addressed. In a creditworthiness report in 2016, I believe it was, the FCA looked at other areas of the lending industry, and it highlighted that, in fact, automated lending services, especially app-based or online, which just give people money, are dangerous because you cannot adequately and suitably assess somebody for credit like that, except it didn't cover the overdraft sector. And that hasn't been looked at this time either. To me, what this looks a little bit like is a really big PR spin, and it's just going to really, really hurt the people that are already significantly suffering. So I call on the industry today to address that situation, to help those people that are really suffering, and to have a look at the lending practices of the overdraft industry, which are questionable at best. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've liked it. If you haven't, give us a thumbs down, I guess, and I won't do another rant video. See you next week. Bye.